Okay, so firstly we're going to go over how to actually connect a radio mic to our sound desk. So firstly we need a radio mic on. So we do this by clicking in the sides and holding down the on button for a second. Once we turn that on, you'll note that the display will turn amber and we'll be able to see that the corresponding receiver also turns amber on our input rack. Okay, so after actually turning our initial radio source on, we need to set parameters for it. So we need to make sure that we can actually hear it. So on my fader strip on my Q24 desk, I need to select the appropriate fader strip. In this instance, we have mapped our radio mic 1 to our mic 1 for convenience. So I'm going to need to press my select button on my fader strip pane. In that, it will then bring up different options in my touchscreen across on my SuperStrip pane. Now we've set up our radio mic, we need to select parameters for it on our Q24 desk. So I have my fader strip for radio mic 1 set to my channel 1. So the first thing is I'm going to put my fader strip up to 0 dBs and ensure that there's actually a signal light coming through on the signal light. The second thing I'm going to do is select the actual channel to bring up the parameters in our touchscreen. We can add parameters in a couple of different ways. We can use the traditional dials to change our preamp, high pass filters. We can use the buttons to turn the filters on and off. We can use our dials to select our parametric EQ. We can turn the parametric EQ in and off using the buttons. We can also select our gate pane, change our threshold and appropriate parameters there. And we have our compressor, so we can again use the buttons to turn that on and off and the appropriate dial to change the parameters. I have this interface here where I can select through my processing for the channel. So for this I can do all my main processing. On this screen I can select a gate and select appropriate parameters to add to the gate. I have my PEQ pane, which is my parametric equalizer. On this I can set my high pass filters, I can do my cut and boost of my different frequency range, and I can add a compressor to the channel as well. At the moment I'm just going to focus on actually processing the signal. So firstly I need to make sure that my gain is at an appropriate level. So as it is a touchscreen interface, if I press the gain bar, I can use my radial dial here to further set parameters. I can also press, if required, I can press and hold the 48 volt phantom power pane to send power to a microphone. We can name our channel. So in this instance, I'm going to call this Radio 1. And you'll notice at the top of the channel processing screen, we see the channel as Radio 1. We have our visual display unit, which gives us a graphical real-time display of our dBs. We're aiming for between 0 to -3 dBs. So we need to output the sound from the desk now. So we do this using our master fader strip. We have different mix sends that we can use. We're going to use mix send left and right, which is always selected here. We're going to move our fader strip up to 0 dB. We now have a visual display unit for our output. So after selecting the channel that our source is going to go through, we need to ensure that we're using the correct source. Using the Q24 rack, we have various different sources that we can use. We have local sources, digital snake sources and Q-Drive sources. We're going to be using a local source here. So in my selection pane on my processing screen, I need to press the function pane to bring up all of the appropriate sources that we can have. For channel 1, we're going to be using our radio mic, which is on a local source. So I ensure that I have channel 1 selected, and just in my select source pane, I have local.